Hi, welcome to today's tutorial from a minor film school. Today we're doing ghosting, how to make a ghost come out of your body. So you can see my phone, it's on a Padcast reverse stabilizer on a piece of furniture, and it's opposite my sofa. I recorded a short scene of me having an out-of-body experience while napping on the couch. So I took my clip, I opened up LumaFusion, and I dragged my clip into the timeline. First thing I want to do is I want to trim off the very start, so you don't need to see me walking over to the sofa. So I select the point where I'm laying on the sofa, trim off the very beginning, and delete. Now, to do this effect properly, we're going to use 3 copies of the same clip. So I have used the clone button, and I have made 3 copies, and I'm going to put them one on top of each other in the timeline, in the 3 layers that LumaFusion gives us for working with video. I'm going to go through and I'm going to unlink each clip so that I can make some adjustments to each one individually without it being attached to another. I'm going to open up the timeline a little bit so that I have a little more room to, and I'm going to start scrolling back and forth until I see the point at which I begin to have my spirit wake up. Once I find that point, I'm going to use the cut tool to cut each of those clips at that point. Now, I'm not going to need to have the laying on the sofa scene for that middle clip, because the middle clip is where we're going to put our ghost. So I'm going to select that middle clip and I'm going to delete it. Now this second half of the clip is where the ghost wakes up out of the body. So I'm going to drag that down so that it is even with the other 2 clips, and I'm going to delete clips 1 and 2 that are further to the right. So what I'm left with is the top and bottom clips are going to be identical. It's going to be me laying on the sofa asleep. The middle clip is going to be part of the sequence where I actually wake myself up and get up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a good end point here, and I'm going to trim that middle clip to be even with the top and the bottom clips. Sometimes it's helpful to open up the timeline a little bit so that you can get down exactly where you need to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that middle clip, I'm going to select the scissors, I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to delete that. So now I've got 3 clips that are about the same length, with the top and the bottom are going to be just me on the sofa. I'm going to select that very topmost clip, and I'm going to go in, and over here on the right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the blending menu. Under blending, it says opacity. That's how see-through that clip is. And I'm going to drop that top opacity all the way down to 0. So for right now, it's almost as if it's not there. You're not going to be able to see through it, or you're going to be able to see through it 100%. So it's not going to show up at all. So what we're seeing now is that middle clip where my spirit is waking up out of my body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that clip, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to adjust the blending here as well. So I'm going to drop the opacity down to, we're going to say about 50%. Doesn't have to be exactly, but just right around 50%. What that means is only you can see through that middle clip, it's about halfway see through. So what we're going to be able to do is see that very bottom clip of me still on the sofa asleep. And you can see my ghost is sitting up, reacting to the body, right? So the problem with this is that we're also seeing, when the ghost sits up, we're kind of seeing through my face and arm and body on that bottom layer, because we're seeing the red sofa from that middle layer from when I get up out of the off the sofa. So this is why we have that top clip. We're going to go back into that top clip, and we're going to open it up, and we're going to go back over to blending again, and we're going to add back in some of that opacity. So as you can see, I'm increasing the opacity to right around 30% to start with, right? So we're going to go back in, and we're going to take a look and see how it looks now. Now it's a lot better. Now this is not going to ever be a perfect effect where you have to get up out of your body when we're staying on the mobile platform. And the reason is these mobile apps do not allow us to do any kind of masking. If we could mask, then we would be able to do this effect and have the body on the sofa look 100% correct and still have this ghostly ethereal body coming up out of it. But because we can't mask, we're stuck with just doing what we can do on the mobile. So the very first layer is going to be at 100%. The next layer is going to be at 50%. And as you can see, I've decided to tweak that top layer. I'm going to bring that opacity back up to right around 50% as well. So it's 50%, 50%, and then 100%. As you can see, I'm getting up and down out of my body. So it's good enough for some of the things that we're doing. Good news is that LumaFusion is planning to add in a more masking ability in the app at some point, and once that's the case, we'll be able to do this better. So as you can see, here's the finished clip. I'm sitting up. You can see it's me sitting up. You can see that my more physical body is still laying on the sofa. I'm even putting my hand through my body, and I'm getting up and reacting. So this should give you a good starting point for doing a clip like this. Okay, so here's the finished clip. Now you can still see through my face and body just a little bit, but this is definitely the best that we're going to be able to get on the mobile platform. So let's take a look at a part 2. It's a whole lot easier to do it if you don't need to have a body that stays on the sofa. So for part 2, we're doing just the ghost. I set my camera up the same way. I recorded a good 20-30 seconds of just the sofa, nobody else in. Then I walked in, I sat down, I did some things, and then what we're doing is we're doing the same thing. We're bringing that clip in. We're going to trim off the very first part where you can see me kind of off to the left. It's this long clip of the sofa before I walk in. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim off the very start so that we don't get that anything except just the sofa. So we're going to trim there. We're going to delete that first section. We're going to scroll until we get to the very end of the sofa. I just begin to walk into the scene, and we're going to cut it into 2 clips. So now what we're going to do is we're going to scroll through until I'm already seated on the sofa, and we're going to cut the beginning of that clip off and delete that as well. So we have 2 separate clips, one with just the sofa and one that starts with me from a sitting position on one end of the sofa. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that second clip and I'm going to drag that and put that on top of the other clip. Okay, so we can't see just the sofa because we can 100% see that clip on top of me on the sofa. So we're going to go into blending, and we're going to drop that opacity down to 50%. And again, you can play with the percentages, whatever, however see-through you want your ghost to be. Right now, what you're seeing is a long clip of just the sofa and then 50% see-through of the clip on top. And because I didn't change the camera, and because the background didn't change at all, I can make my body look like I'm not 100% there. I'm a ghost. Now you'll notice me putting my hands behind my body probably wasn't a smart thing to do, because you still can't see through my body in real life, even if you're playing with the opacity. So here I am. I've decided, you know what, let's take a look. Let's see what it would be if I was a little bit higher. I can make it a little bit lower. I can make myself even more faint, more see-through if I want, so that I'm just barely there. So I've dropped this down to 25%, and you can see it's still, you can tell it's me, you can tell it's a ghost. Now, this effect works brilliantly so long as the background doesn't move and the camera doesn't move. You've got to make sure that your camera stays locked down. If you take it outside, it's not going to look quite as right, because every little wind rustling in the trees is going to change your background. But this should give you some ideas. You can make a ghost. You can stay entirely on the mobile platform using just FilmicPro and LumaFusion. And there you have it. Hope you've enjoyed our ghosting tutorial. I look forward to seeing what kind of ghost projects you're going to come up with.